Hello everyone, welcome back to another 2v2 battle. This is going to be with me and Surreal. I'm playing as the Greenskins. You can see a very happy squig thing that my Night Goblin war boss is currently riding. So let's go over the armies here. We're also facing off against the Warriors of Chaos and the Dwarves. This is taking place about 3 or 4 minutes into the battle. We initially started with a deployment of here, and we decided to cross the map over here. I'm going to circle all the way around and come at him from this way, and Surreal's going to go down this way. So my army here, I have a lot of cav, we have 2 squig herds, we have 2 orc boar boy biggins, we have also 2 goblin big bosses mounted on the spiders, and a night goblin war boss as you see there. I'm also putting the Ragnarok queen in this kind of very mobile group for a heavy hitter. My main line is going to be 2 nasty skulkers, 4 orc biggins, not boar boy biggins. I also have a fanatic. Here we go. The 8 peak loonies are in the middle of this formation with the nasty skulkers at each end and the big boys in the middle. We have one of the crimson killers, and then way back here is another night goblin fanatic that I was moving a little late. I also have a mangy marauder, the goblin wolf archers, and they're going to be joining my mobile force as well. For Surreal, we can kind of slow it here. He has 2 spearmen, 2 greatswords, 2 crossbows, 2 handgunners, one of which is the silver bullets, a tattersouls, and a normal flagellant, the royal Altdorf Griffites. I think that's it. And then the Sigmar Sons over here, being led by an Amber Wizard mounted on a horse. And then over here we have the General of the Empire and an Empire Captain, both on the flying mounts. He did also have a cannon at the very beginning, but because of our movements, we were kind of moved ahead of the cannons, and they got sniped by these 2 gyrocopters with brimstone guns. So you see right over here, rest of the dwarf army is 2 quarrelers, peak gate guard, dragonback slayers, 4 dwarf warriors with the warriors dragonfire pass renown. We have the 2 ethereal thanes for the Angron clan, a rune lord, and then 2 cannons. And then the Chaos player, 2 Chaos Knights with lances, being led by an Exalted Hero, frontline of Chaos Marauders, Chaos Sorcerer, Lord of Death, Aspiring Champion, 3 Chaos Warriors, also 2 Miners here too, 2 Armored Chaos Trolls, Hell Cannon, and then Archeon the Ever-Chosen. I think I got everything. And you can see here that at the beginning of the fight, we had them outnumbered by over about 1,000 troops. So that's, you know, good on us. Good on us. So right now, we are still going to be getting into position. Now, I'm going to get kind of hammered here by the Hell Cannon and the 2 Dwarven Cannons over the course of our movement. And I'm going to kind of just fast forward a little bit, or maybe just a little bit here. So you can see the Hell Cannon was initially targeting my Orc Boar Boy Biggins. So I'm going to try and initially hide them into this forest, and then I'm going to move them behind this big rock formation. Not entirely sure what to do with them. Luckily enough, a lot of those shots are going to miss. And we are waiting for the Ragnarok and the Goblin Wolf Archers to get over here. And again, we are just kind of getting information. Surreal's going to be coming in behind me. Here, actually, I'm going to probably skip ahead here. Here we go. So we're going to have initial engagement. The Royal Altdorf Griffites are going to be, I believe, charging into these Chaos Marauders. You're going to see a lot of health point damage over here because of Surreal's Flock of Dooms that he's been casting as we've been approaching. And you can see he's splitting up his force, some of them to come around this way. I believe some of his gunners heading this way, while his melee forces are heading over here. He gets summoned to Manticore as well. I am still trying to approach the Dwarven line, and I've taken a lot of damage from the Hell Cannon and the other cannons too on my main force over here, but we are still pressing forward. I'm going to be getting my mobile force behind the Dwarves as my main line is going to go directly in ahead of them, or in front. Usually the Dwarven Quarrelers are going to be getting in on Surreal's General of the Empire. Luckily enough, he does have a potion so he can heal through it. And we just kind of have a little skirmish going on here with Archeon and some of these Chaos Warriors trying to chase back the Royal Altdorf Griffites, who unfortunately have been heavily damaged due to the amount of units that were engaging them and destroying them as they were trying to run out. And then I'm going to be applying pressure to the Dwarven backline. You can see they are responding by trying to move some of their miners to block our path. But we have a lot of mobile forces here, including our mobile death squad of the heroes. So I'm going to try and get into these Quarrelers as quick as I can and try and silence everything that's in here. You can see our Squig Herd is going to get intercepted by these Chaos Knights. And then that is going to be my cue to send in our Orc Boar Boy Biggins to try and silence these Chaos Knights now that the charge is done. Squig Herd get into these miners, but not into the Quarrelers. And the other Chaos Knight group is going to be supporting this fight as well. Meanwhile, over at Surreal, we are getting an engagement with the crossbows, just throwing down fire on these trolls and Chaos Warriors. And the gunners and the greatswords are getting in a flank position and getting so many kills right now, flanking into the side of these Chaos Warriors. It is amazing. While the Tattersouls and the Flagellants are going to be holding the front line, we'll get more to that later. Meanwhile, over here, I have already routed off one of the Chaos Knights in the process of routing off the other one, or at least forcing them to withdraw. And I'm trying to get my mobile squad into these Quarrelers as best I can. I am pulling back the Orc War Boys because the PK Guard were thrown into this battle. Meanwhile, we have the mainline battle has joined here. We have the Orc Biggins getting into combat. We have the Night Goblin Shaman that's going to be casting buffs and debuffs in this entire area. My Nasty Skulkers are going to be just getting a ton of kills because as long as they're winning in combat, their opportunistic murderer trait procs, and as long as you have them like in a 2v1 situation, it's going to be proccing boom, 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 and so their damage just goes through the roof. We're throwing these 8-peak loonies into these miners to try and break them, as our Ragnarok and the mobile death squad of our hero and the 2 Goblin Big Bosses are going to be continuing to support the Orc Boar Boy Biggins and the Ragnarok in this push to try and silence the Quarrelers and the Cannons that are all focusing on Surreal at the moment. You can see I'm currently chasing off some more of these Chaos Knights, and this PK Guard was mismicroed, so they are still chasing my Orc Boar Boy Biggins, and they will continue to chase them, and I am just kind of taking actions against any unit on the path, but like I am aware of what's happening, so I've sticked my Goblin Archers on the hammers, which is why they have taken so much damage, and I'm going to reissue the attack order because for some reason they stopped doing that. But the back of the Dwarven line is kind of in ruins at this point. We have already taken out some of their miners, and the Ragnarok Queen is not going to be stopped. She is just trampling over these Dragonback Slayers who are trying to be taken out by all of these forces over here. They are doing some damage, but there is just too much for them to handle, so we are currently getting into the Quarrelers. These miners are now routed with the help of the Goblin Archers that have the armor-piercing damage, and so the AP Loonies, we're going to get off their Fanatic ability into the Quarrelers and then charge the Quarrelers with the AP Loonies and the Ragnarok Spider. The front line, we have the Crimson Killers going up the middle, which is going to be death for the Dwarf Warriors, basically. And again, we have debuffs of the Itchy Nuisance going on the Dwarven Warriors every minute or so, and then we have the Nasty Stabber. I forget what the buff spell is that the Goblin Shaman has, but it's very good, very good. You can see we're going to get flanked here by some Chaos Marauders, and I'm going to be sending our Orc Boar Boy Biggins to flank them here soon. You can see the PK Guard is still chasing them, and I'm, again, aware of this, so I'm just leading them on this path around the battle. Meanwhile, the frontline Dwarf Warriors are starting to crumble under the weight of all of these Biggins, the Nasty Skulkers, and especially the Crimson Killers, while the Quarrelers are also succumbing to the might of the Ragnarok Spider, the 2 Goblin Big Bosses, and the Night Goblin Big Boss. And at this point, I'm going to threaten the Rune Lord with our hero units, and they're going to do significant damage to the Rune Lord because he is kind of just out here isolated, so there's no units to take any hits for him, so we're going to do a lot of damage there. Meanwhile, we got the nice flank off on these Chaos Marauders with my Orc Boar Boy Biggins, so nice job on them. Nasty Skulker's going to be pulling around and slamming into the side of these warriors. Dragonfire Pass, we're still holding off one of our Orc Biggins, and now these Orc Boar Boy Biggins. The PK Guard finally got micro back into the battle, and they went right through here into my heroes to try and prevent the Rune Lord from dying, so I am just going to run from this fight currently until we get some support from the Squig Herds and the Ragnarok Spider. I'm also reapplying pressure from our Goblin Wolf Archers, and you see the Dwarf main line is now collapsing, freeing up all of my Orc Biggins and these Nasty Skulkers, and all the Dwarves player has left currently is going to be the Dwarf Warriors that were kind of just sitting in the trees. The Warriors of Dragonfire Pass are still slowly falling. We have a group of armored Chaos Trolls that came into our backside, but with the debuffs that we were casting from our Night Goblin Shaman and the buffs, they are not going to be able to stop our Orc Biggins over there. And then with the help of our Night Goblin Fanatics that came in here to kind of preoccupy the PK Guard, I'm resending our hero unit in here to try and finish him off again, along with the Goblin Archers and the Ragnarok. So much is happening. The Crimson Killers are now going after the Rune Lord as the Gyrocopters come down to try and save him and do what they can. He still does, of course, have his 2 ethereal things, but I mean, they just take forever to kill, so I'm trying to ignore them as much as possible. But you can see we have basically crushed the dwarves at this point in the battle. The Warriors of Dragonfire Pass is going to hold on to the bitter end, but they eventually too will crumble. This Dwarf Warrior that was sitting in the forest is now crumbling to the Nasty Skulkers. The Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, I'm sorry, the Dragonback Slayers, there is only one singular model left, along with the remnants of the PK Guard, but they came into the battle so late because they were chasing my people around the entire battlefield. By the time that they were able to punch through to help their Rune Lord, I had already crushed the Quarrelers, and the Dwarf Warriors for the most part were crushed as well, so my mobile force with the Ragnarok and the heroes and then the front line was able to just kind of collapse, and I just love these little arrows, and just all kinds of hate happened right here. And the PK Guard, like what's left of the PK Guard? Where are you? 18 models, they were finally like, oh god, we gotta get out of here, and you can see we're still harassing them. Anyway, I'm gonna stop mess. I just love these arrows. So we're gonna pause it here, everybody, and we are going to see how the fight is going for Surreal and his Imperial Mightiness. That's a word. So I remember at this part in the battle, Surreal said that he did accidentally mismicro his Griffites. it was not intentional, I don't believe, to charge into the Chaos Marauders like this, which is why he pulled them out immediately. Just a matter of, you know, because he was in the process of splitting his forces in half and sending them around this way and then over here. So things got a little hectic in the beginning, but luckily enough, he was able to pull them out for the most part. It did take a lot of damage, but hey, they are still alive, and he has been just casting again the Flock of Dooms, which is why the health of a lot of these units has been lowered to the point that they are. And I did my best to try and shut down these Corridors just for this specific reason, because they were threatening his flyers. They're a high threat for the General and the Manticore, as on their flying mounts especially. So that's why I was doing my best to try and shut them down. But anyway, back over here, the Spearmen are going to be holding back the Chaos Warrior Tide, including Archaon. And the crossbows here have an excellent position that are just kind of lobbing their shots over this little ridge here into the Chaos Warriors. And this flanking position, as we saw a little earlier, is going to do a lot of wonders. And it was really going to move to put a Greatsword group to protect these two as well. And I believe one of these is Sterling's Revenge. Yeah, Sterling's Revenge is a great unit. Right now, the enemy cannot even see them because they have stalk, so it's always kind of a surprise when they pop on the battlefield like, oh shit, there's an armor-piercing unit that's also decent in melee. Like, all of a sudden, that they're here. Anyway, these Chaos Marauders are going to get backed up by the Exalted Hero that was rolling with the Chaos Knights a little while ago, but they decided to pull off and support the fight against the Empire. Meanwhile, the Royal Outdoor Gryphites are holding the front line against the Chaos Warriors along with the Spearmen, as Surreal's flying force is, I believe, sniping targets. Oh, over here. So they landed over here to try and snipe the Hell Cannon initially, and I believe they actually did manage to crush it with the help of the crossbows, so he has managed to shut down the Hell Cannon at this point. And right now, he is just trying to escape the armored trolls. I remember him just talking about, like, oh my god, why isn't my lord flying? So he's just trying to get everybody out of this mess. Meanwhile, these Chaos Warriors are still dealing with the remains of the Royal Outdoor Gryphites, and now we have some great swords mixed in here, as well as the Spearmen and the Sigmar Sons are coming up in here, along with the Tattersouls, and these two units are not going to break no matter what happens because they are unbreakable. And you can see the remnants of the Chaos Knights who ran from my fight are now going after the Sterling's Revenge, but the Great Swords are actually going to get there right in time, and they are going to get pelted by these silver bullets, just pelting them with bullets of magic. Go figure. And that's going to end the Chaos Knights with Lance's tyranny on the field. The Chaos Warriors here are going to go engage with the Empire Captain who came down to support the Great Swords. And then also the Amber Wizard is going to be holding up these Chaos Warriors who are going to get pelted by the Sterling's Revenge. So this is great. The Amber Wizard can definitely survive in combat for a while mounted. Obviously, they do a little bit better on the Griffin, but it is a lot more expensive that way. And they are holding these Chaos Warriors in place for the armor-piercing firing units to just do their damage, and it's a really good move there. Meanwhile, the front line, the Exalted Hero is just chewing through the Tattersouls, but the Tattersouls is a great unit. They are decent in melee. They will never break, so they are just going to hold the line against these Armored Trolls, Chaos Warriors, and the Exalted Hero. And the same thing over here with the Sigmar Sons are going to hold up against these Chaos Warriors. And these Great Swords have an excellent position because they are keeping the units away from these two crossbows that are supporting this frontline fight against Archaon and the Chaos Trolls. This is probably the troll that comes around to hit me in the back, I would imagine. Anyway, the remnants of the Chaos Marauders and Aspiring Champions who have just been pelted through this entire battle with Flock of Dooms, and the crossbow bolts are coming in to support Archaon, their lord, in this fight against the Great Swords, and the 11 Griffins that are still remaining in the Sigmar Sons. Over here, the Empire Captain, the Great Swords, held off the Chaos Warriors long enough for them to finally start to withdraw due to combat losses. So the help of the General of the Empire, the Manticore, and just the Flying Force in general saved the Silver Bullets and the Sterling's Revenge, who are now getting into position to fire in the backside of these Chaos Trolls, because now the support of the Chaos Marauders are going to run because they have a very low morale, and there is no encouraging unit near them to keep them in the fight any longer, plus they have incurred a lot of losses, so they're just going to be out of the battlefield, I believe, for the rest of it. And the front line's still going on. The Royal Outdoor Gryphites took a massive hit in the beginning, but now that they have been mixed with the Great Swords and the Sigmar Sons, who are not running at all, they're actually going to rack up a lot of damage against these Aspiring Champions and these Chaos Warriors here on the front line. It's almost like they're heroes on their own accord. Doing what they can. And even with Archaon the Ever-Chosen sitting there, just the losses of these Chaos Warriors are going to make them a rout, because they're also not immune to, hold on, let me just double check before I say things. Yeah, they're not immune to psychology. So the Royal Altdorf Gryphites actually do have fear and terror. So when the leadership gets lower, that is why a lot of these forces are routing, because they're not immune to that. So the fact that any model at all exists of the Royal Altar Grid fights at this point in the front line is such a huge boon, because their fear and terror is just hitting everything in this area and making it route and come back, route and come back. So this little period of time where they were affected by the terror, they are not assisting Archeon, who's now taking more hits. The Chaos Sorcerer of Death is taking more hits along with the Aspiring Champions because they don't have these guys to tank for them. So terror and fear is a huge thing, especially against Chaos Warriors, because they are not immune to it. Meanwhile, over here, the Flying Force helped route the Armored Trolls along with the Stone's Revenge. The Tattered Souls are damaged, but they held the line for, well, forever, again, because they are unbreakable, so they are a great unit. And now the Silver Bullets and the Stone's Revenge just pelting these units as they run past them. And you can kind of see it's not looking good for Chaos. Again, these Chaos Warriors were, withdrew from this fight, so now the Aspiring Champions took so much damage. But these two Spearmen are going to rout, but Sigmar's Sons are going to continue to hold the line. The Crossbows at this point have been firing through most of the match, so they are very low on ammo, which is always a great thing. It means they've dealt a lot of damage. And the Great Swords is going to be able to do a lot of work against the Chaos Sorcerer of Death. Archeon's still at full health, basically. He's a very tough melee combatant, but the rest of his forces are routing, and he is not unbreakable. So even he, Archeon the Ever-Chosen, if everything starts routing, he will usually succumb to morale losses as well. So you don't necessarily have to beat him. You see his morale is steadily dropping as his forces continue to retreat. And it's around this point that the enemy's armies are going to start to shatter. You can see they are currently still running for the hills. They're not quite shattered yet, but they will be here soon. It's at this point we are going to be routing the Rune Lord with our Hero Squad, the 2 Goblin Big Bosses, and a Night Goblin Big Boss on his Squig. And now is the time where they're going to surround, or Surreal's going to surround Archeon the Ever-Chosen, but his morale again is going to suffer due to the losses, although he just took a big hit from General the Empire's charge there on top of his Griffin. But you can see he is going to shatter, so you don't necessarily have to kill him. All you gotta do is kill everybody else, which is what we did. And then we have 3 minutes left. I wonder what those 3 minutes are going to do. Oh, what's that? They have the Ethereal Lords. Oh, that must be why this is going to take forever. It would have actually taken probably double that amount of time, but it was at this point we were on Discord. I think, yeah, we were on Discord. And I was like, oh, damn it. They have these ethereal units. Now it's just going to take us forever. So right here, you can see how I am moving all my troops away. He's like, oh, no, it's fine, dude. I got the silver bullets. And I was like, oh, shit, you got magic damage? He's like, yeah. So that's why I moved all of our units away to give them a clear line of fire. And I'm just kind of halting these guys in place, continually knocking them down with our Goblin Big Bosses and the Night Goblin War Boss here. So with the Surreal's magic bullets, they have already dealt enough damage to take one of these guys down, and then the rest of the time is just going to be them taking down this ethereal unit. Because again, the silver bullets are magical damage, and the ethereal units are very susceptible to magical damage. It's kind of the best way to take them down. So that's why I am doing what I'm doing. I just continually charge them, knock them down. Silver bullet's going to continue to fire at them. They used a potion here. I don't know why. Like, at this point, listen, I'm like, the game's over. But hey. Stay to the very end, You have a Lord's up, fight to the bitter end. So he's going to try and charge our Orc Biggins here, but I'm like, no, I don't think so. So gets fired upon, and then Surreal's Manticore is going to come in here. You see him knock him down again. Get out of the way so they can fire. Right now, the Manticore, I believe, is blocking the shots, so Surreal's going to pull his Manticore out soon. And then they're going to start firing again, knock him down again. Even when you have magic damage, these guys still take forever to kill. Especially when they have a potion. Foe Secret and Deadly Onslaught has been popped. I threw out the Night Goblin War Boss because he was actually getting low on health. He did take a couple hits from the King Lund there. But in the end, the forces of the Gobos, well, I should say Greenskins, and the Empire did beat out against Warriors of Chaos and the Dwarves. But that was a good game. That was a very fun game. I was slightly worried because my units took a lot of damage on the approach to their position. But we just had so many numbers and was able to surround the dwarf player. And the peak 8 guard chasing my Orc Boarboy Biggins around the map, again, it happens. In the battle, there's a lot to micromanage. They clicked an attack order. I saw what happened. I pulled out my Orc Boarboy Biggins, and they just lost track of the peak 8 guard. Because their camera angle was probably something like this. And up high, of course, probably. And so the peak 8 guard just kind of probably ran out of view because the peak 8 guard were running back here. And their player was probably not looking back here because most players, are facing the direction of the enemy, So I can easily understand why that happened. But that was a huge bonus to me. The peak 8 guard not being a part of their army is great for me. But again, good game to both the enemies and to Surreal. Let's take a look at the kill count. Let's see here. Goblin Big Boss is just doing a lot of work. The Night Goblin Shaman is so good. It's so good. Only 2 spells are usually required, and that's the Itchy Nuisance and Sneaky Stabbin'. I think it's called Sneaky Stabbin'. The Sneaky Stabbin' is the buff, and then the Itchy Nuisance is the debuff. And it's in such a wide area, and they're so cheap. They're like 6 mana each. So the Night Goblin Shaman, as long as that's the only spells you're using, can buff and debuff the main parts of the fight throughout the entire battle because it's so cheap. Like, I think he's one of the best support casters in the game. Night Goblin Fanatics netting 67 kills is pretty good. These Nasty Skulkers are just amazing. I put them on the edge of our battle line just so they can kind of close in and try to get that winning fight easily status, so that will proc their Opportunistic Murderer. And when that happens, they're like unstoppable. And when you team them up with Orc Biggins, who in most cases are going to win in combat by themselves anyway, and you team these two up together, then that's a higher chance of them proccing their Opportunistic Murderer skill. So yeah, it's a nasty combination. Crimson Killers actually didn't do too much. They routed some Dwarf Warriors, but they didn't really get to do too much. Orc Boy Biggins did really nice work. They helped take out the Chaos Knights, and then we're just doing cycle charges all over the battlefield. Ragnarok netting 100 kills. Squidkers did what they did. They did pretty good. And then I haven't really tried these out too much. 29 kills on the Mangy Marauders. It's not bad. They're not super expensive. I don't know if they're worth it quite yet. Against a Dwarf player, maybe, because they are not going to be hassled really. But I think in a lot of situations, there's just so much mobility in the other armies that these guys are kind of a hard pick to have. But against the Dwarves, as long as you can shut down their Quarrelers, which I did, and they're able to just fire all day, then yeah, I mean, they're probably worth it. Anyway, for Surreal, the General of the Empire 30 kills is pretty good. Empire Captain 20 kills is pretty good. The Tattersouls and the all these Unbreakable units did well at holding the line. Grey Swords did really good. Sterling's Revenge and the Silver Bullets did amazing. Royal Outdoor Griff Fights almost got crushed in the beginning, but still netted 57 kills and was exuding their terror and fear aura throughout the whole battle. And Great Cannon got 45 kills before it got shut down, and it got shut down pretty quick, so that's impressive. For Testudo Aubrey, the Dwarf player, the 2 things did pretty good. The Dwarf line just didn't have a chance, except for the Warriors Dragonfire Pass. You can see they got 94 kills, which is really good. But the other main Dwarf Warriors are fighting against Biggins and Nasty Skulkers, so like they didn't really have much of a shot. 82 kills in the Dragonfire Slayers is really good, especially since they were killing my Orc Boy Biggins and doing a lot of damage to my Ragnarok. The PK Guard, you saw what happened to them. The Quarrelers would luckily shut down pretty quickly. They did do some damage to Surreal's Air Force. Cannons got a lot of kills on our approach, but after that they were shut down pretty quick. And then the Gyrocopters each netted a decent amount of kills with the Brimstone guns. And then Cactus Jack, the Warriors of Chaos, 69 kills in Archeon, really good. Exalted Heroes, same thing. Marauders actually got a decent amount of kills here. It looks like they put some money into the Marauders as well to buff up their leadership and melee stats. Not a bad idea. I don't know how much that costs, but it worked out. They got a decent amount of kills. 48 kills in the Inspiring Champions. This Chaos Warrior got 0. That was probably the one that the Amber Wizard charged, and then they just got shot to death. 0 kills. Oh, man. The Chaos Knights, you saw, they got just shut down hardcore by me and then by Surreal's Guns and Flock of Doom. Chaos Trolls did okay with 75 kills. This one kind of got shut down. 150 kills in the Hell Cannon. Really good. Really decent amount of kills there. But anyway, again, that was a very good battle, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you all next time. Have a good day.